Have you found your paper?
Is it punched or on the side?
It is
And the back.
It should be in the middle section of your binders, people. It is called Training by Design. I'm going to begin. Please follow along. Most of us have come through a traditional education system, classrooms, and we tend to fall into that education mode when conducting training. That structured lecture format can be effective, oh yes, in communicating content, particularly to individuals who are visual or auditory learners. However, training is different from education. It includes the application of skills as well as knowledge and demonstrated ability to perform these skills in real situations. Excuse me. To conduct effective training, it's important to match the structure, roles, and interactions of the learning group with the training needs. Here are some examples of training group structures. Demonstration. We're going to do a demonstration. Follow me, please. Leave your items on your chair, and we're going to this space right here. You do not need your papers for this. You just need yourself. Yourself in a hurry would be really nice. Chop, chop, people. Chop, chop.
She's kidding.
Okay, I would like you to form a huddle with no space in the middle. A huddle with no space in the middle, please.
A rugby scrum.
This includes you too. Okay. Next, I would like you to hold your breath. And hold it until you are blue in the face. Once you are blue in the face, you may take a breath, but only a quick breath. And then continue to hold your breath. At the same point in time, I'd like you to jump up and down. Please begin. Large group lecture format. Keep jumping, people. There shouldn't be any laughing. You should be holding your breath. This traditional classroom lecture format can be an efficient format for one presenter to communicate information content to he doesn't pass. Sorry, no certification for you. Somebody will bring him. Yeah, okay, somebody call 911. The rest of you, sit, please. Actually, no, Allie's going to escort you out of the building, especially this one right here. Okay, so please follow Allie.
Okay, thank you.
Good playing there, big guy. Shrewd and effective.
Thanks for coming, everybody.
Great. I can't film this. Am I supposed to follow her? Does this disconnect?
I think you just get them going out and coming back in again.
Really?
I assume they're coming back in.
I think they're coming back.
Is this where you go through all our stuff?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I think we have a conflict here, and we're going to have to resolve it before the day is over.
Yeah, but we'll do it outside.
Please stop that.
Clearly, they didn't plan for rain. No.
Wait.
They can bring
Hey, you guys. Beautiful day to be in Monterey. Hi everyone, my name is Karen. I'll be your trainer today. Welcome to the Monterey Bay Aquarium, where we're going to go over some training by design. Now, before we get started, I just want to let you know that, well, we have bathrooms very close by. They're just in here on the left. It's just one stall, so only one person at a time will have to take turns. We've got filtered water back there. Yes, sir? Did you need something? Yes, we've got filtered water back there, and of course, lots of running water in our exhibits over here. And, you know, I think I'd like to move this. Is it okay if I move the lecture? So I'm going to move this so I can move about and talk freely. And if it gets too warm in here, just feel free to open up the door, okay, because I want to make sure that you're all comfortable. And conversely, if it gets too cold, once the door's open, we can shut it. Also, I'd like to pass some toys around. So if you would just pass the toys around, please. Okay, great. So let's get started. How comfortable are you feeling?
Good. Very comfortable.
Feeling good? Feeling groovy? Groovy. Okay. Well, good. That's exactly what I wanted. That's exactly what I wanted. What did I do wrong back there?
Everything.
Everything. Again, I can't seem to get it straight.
We missed the other she was more focused.
Okay. Yeah, what I'm getting at here is how will you make your trainees comfortable when that training time is there, is with you. You're ready to do your training, what are you going to do? Some of my favorites, these toys. You wouldn't believe the action they get. You wouldn't believe it. The music, really good to play as people are coming in or taking a break. So you might be asking, well, why? Well, let's take these toys, for instance. We're all different learners. We learn in many different ways. Some of us are kinesthetic learners. And I know who's kinesthetic right now just by looking at you. Because some of you are playing with these toys and you're pulling and you're bouncing. And that's great because the way that you learn, you assimilate information here by doing something here. So me personally, I don't want a toy, get them away from me. That's not the way I learn. What I wanted was a pad of paper in my binder yesterday. Oops, did I say that? I was writing on the back of everything because I didn't bring that pad of paper. You too!
No. But.
Okay, note for next time.
But that's
Tama. C-star high five. C-star high five, Tama. Okay. So my learning method is through writing notes and then going over those later. And so there are lots of different ways to learn, and it's important when we're doing trainings that we take all of those different modalities into consideration. Are your learners kinesthetic, as many kids are, right? I had one guy in the last class who worked with 6th graders, and I said, what would be the number one takeaway for all of us to be successful to work with 6th graders? And he said, keep it fun, entertain them. But I don't think that applies to just 6th graders. That applies to all of us. You're going to learn a lot when you're having fun. So how do we make our trainings fun? Well, we do silly things. We feed you. We give you water. We show you where the bathrooms are. We do the basic necessities, but sometimes it's easy to overlook those. So what Allie and I are hoping to do in our time together is to not only touch on those different learning styles to constantly be thinking about when you're doing trainings, but how do we take something like MPAs from a 30,000-foot view and make it relevant to you? Allie, take it away.
Waiting for the projector to splinter. So we're gonna try some different sessions just to give you some ideas. Now, it's gonna feel a bit disjointed because this isn't real life. You know, you don't get any do-overs like Karen just did. So we're gonna try some smaller groups, some discussions, some hands-on stuff. If we get a chance to do it, it's a pretty big group, and we get a chance to maybe practice some interpretation, but we're just going to see how that feels, because it's always nice to experience what you're putting your staff through, right? We've put you through these 2 days of training, and you're probably not going to replicate that. You're going to take pieces of it, and how will that feel to the people on the other end? And a good way to feel it is to do it. So what we're going to do is we're going to zoom in, and I'm just going to use the map as an analogy for what we're going to try here. So here's the Central Coast, here's our 29 marine protected areas. But at the end of the day, it's still, you know, it's 30,000 feet. So yeah.
Is it possible to turn the blowers down?
The water.
Water?
Because, no, sorry. I'm sorry, I am. I wonder if I forgot to.
Just let them die over
Oh my God. Yeah,
I knew it would, yeah.
You know what happened? Anyone hear me? Is that working? Yep. Is that better? Okay. All right, now I feel like I need to
Excellent question
song.
and an excellent point.
Yes.
Making sure that everyone can see you and hear you is really important.
Yeah. And if we would turn the workshop, but the animals would die, and then we don't feel really bad about it. So where were we? So here we are, kind of. It's not a view from space exactly, but you know, it's pretty high up. And what can we get from a map like this? Well, you know, maps are always useful. We all use maps in our daily lives, but the map is going to tell us where the marine protected areas are, where they are in relationship to one another, maybe where they are in relationship to where I am right now. So if I know I'm in Monterey Bay, you know, where do the marine protected areas go down to? I can see Santa Barbara County. So I can figure out kind of where I am in space and time. And then if I'm the kind of person that really likes to read keys on maps, I can actually figure out these are shaded in different colors, and then I can see what that means. Well, I can see what the acronym stands for. I don't know what it means, but I can tell there's a lot of detail here. But it doesn't really get me to what is a marine protected area and why is it important. It's maybe a starting point, maybe it's not a starting point. So it's something to think about. So in a group setting, a map might be really appropriate. So you have a big lecture format. We had PowerPoint slides yesterday, the wazoo, and all of these things. You know, and this is a great format for doing that. With a pointer and a lectern and an instructor, you can really get to some of these things. But then you can get into a smaller group and you can zoom in. It says caution, and now I know what you can trip on. So when we zoom in, and we're going to kind of go down to a group discussion level, at the group discussion level, you can start to get to more of the nitty-gritty. So here we've got just a half of the protected area. So if I'm in Monterey, these are the ones that are closest to the aquarium. These are the ones that probably the volunteers in the aquarium are going to be most familiar with. But if I work at Point Lobos, or if I work on the coast here, I might want to zoom in really close and start to know more about the ones right in my backyard that I could jump off the back deck of the aquarium and go explore if I so chose. And so that's what we're going to get down to with the small groups. It's kind of zooming in each time to what are the specifics that my people will need to know. I know they're going to need to know some of the 30,000 foot stuff because that's important. You know, 29 of these things are in a network. But then what are they going to need, practical things they're going to need to talk about when they're on site with me. And I just wanted to go back to this slide. I took this from the Marine Protected Area website, Fish and Game website, and I'm going to say that this kind of information is just overwhelming. And you know, we've all been to lectures where you see these slides, and then what does the person do? They read them out, like you couldn't read them anyway. So they read them to you, and then of course we're never going to remember any of these things. And we're never going to need all the acronyms and the total number of square miles. You might have those on a fact sheet in your back pocket, but you're not necessarily going to spew those things out. So I'm just going to caution you about when you get down to training rather than education, remember that you're giving people the tools to do their job when they're out there. This is the education component, but what you guys are going to do is training, and training is very different from education. You know, in training, you don't have to know the answer to everything. We teach our volunteers here at the aquarium how to say, I don't know. Now you say, what, you teach them to say, I don't know? That seems really weird. It's one of the hardest things that any volunteer who's been through our training will have a hard time saying, I don't know. Because they say, I went through all of this, and I can't believe I don't know the answer. Either I never knew it, I don't remember it from the training, and I'm embarrassed because I don't know. But we'd much rather say, I don't know, and here's all the ways that you and I can find out those answers than to make something up or be flustered or just feel embarrassed. It's okay to not know, and it's going to be okay for your docents and staff not to know all these details right at the top of their head. Because you can have that somewhere. You can have it on your website, you can have it on a map, you can have it in a book. There are many, many places. You can encourage them to write an email when they get home, or let's go down the path because I think John is down here and he knows the answers to everything. And there's always one volunteer that knows everything, isn't there? So go find John. So we'll just encourage you to seek the answers in other places and don't have it all in your head. And then just another reminder that when people get to your area, and they're perhaps not going to see it from quite this 20,000-foot level, but really what people are looking at is where the blue meets the green. You're going to be maybe on the state park and you're talking about here's the boundary of the state park, but right here is another protected area. And to the visitor, this is what it looks like. It's blue and green. And so your job is to get beyond the blue and green. And how are we going to do that? So we're going to split ourselves into groups and figure out different ways to come at this. And hopefully you'll get some ideas of what you might want to do when you go home. So you might want to start in a big group like this and do that 30,000-foot level and then break into some smaller groups. Or maybe you'll just go straight to the smaller groups because you'll know what works for you in your site. But we're going to try them all and then you can see how it feels. So we're going to split ourselves up. And we established with the previous group that nobody likes the 1-2-1-2 thing because we all forget whether we're 1 or 2. I can never remember. So we're going to have white sharks and jellyfish, I think. So you're a white shark, you're a jellyfish.
White shark, jelly.
White.
Shark. Shark. Jelly. Shark. Jelly. Shark. Shark.
Jellyfish.
Shark.
Jellyfish.
Shark.
Jellyfish.
Shark.
Oh, no play. Okay, no prizes either. That's okay, you're running. So I'm going to have the sharks swim down to the far end and the jellies can just drift right here. And we'll take it from that.
Okay, drifters. Come on over. You can try it if you want. Actually, what I was thinking is that let's pull this route out around to these things. Okay, well sometimes it's information overload, right?
I like the science.
Science panel? Okay. And why is that? Why was that your favorite?
It was interactive.
It was interactive, and you were listening to several, actually 4 different people. Okay, so it wasn't just one person. Yeah. Any other favorites? Because I know mine have been mentioned. Meg was your favorite. Why was she your favorite?
Well, it was really interesting what she was talking about, but also her manner of the way she presents is very kind of informal.
And yet thorough. Yeah. And accessible. I found her trying to be very accessible. Even though I'm not an expert in MPAs, I felt pretty good about most things, except all the acronyms. I'm afraid I didn't know all the acronyms, but my fault. For me, Cindy Walter was my favorite. And I think for me it's because she connected with a lot of universals that you talked about with Jim Covell. Involving kids, we all had a childhood. And she brought us back to that time when I was learning how to tie my shoe. She was learning how to tie Ubers onto lines. And she kept making those little references, which took me back into my childhood. So for me, she really touched me, touched my emotional being when she was telling us those stories. So interesting. So your favorite speaker from yesterday tells you a lot about what kind of learner as well as trainer you are. And that's why considering all the different learning styles is so important, whether someone's verbal, auditory, visual, kinesthetic, you want to speak to all of those when you're training. Okay, so we're in a smaller group. We're no longer in the large lecture setting. Benefit of this. What's the benefit? Speaker a lot more. Okay. Imagine if you had 20 minutes with Meg after her talk yesterday. What would you do at that time? Yeah, did we have time for a lot of questions yesterday? We really didn't. We had to stick to a schedule, and that was important because there was a lot of information to deliver, and if you could do that in an effective amount of time and not too long of time, then you're setting people up for success. So the questions were, we could ask questions later on. Okay, but imagine if you had that time. So, what are some other benefits of this setting?
So you're in a circle like this, even when there's a leader, like you are, it's still more democratic or egalitarian, for want of a better term, democratic or egalitarian or something. It's just a little more conversation.
Okay. One person in the last class was quite honest, and I thanked her for her honesty. She said, as soon as you split us up into groups, my anxiety went way up. And I so appreciated that, because for some, a lecture setting is a way for them to just not be seen in the masses. They don't want to be called on, they don't want to participate. It is important to recognize that. So she became an observer for me. When we got into even smaller groups, she and I were the observers. So it's important to try and pick that out of the groups you're working with as well. For this training, we're not giving you any choice. So we're making all of you participate. But there is that to consider. Now, what if we get into an even smaller group setting and we split the group in half? What will the benefits of that be?
Yeah.
More interaction. Yeah. Okay. Disadvantages?
Maybe, whoever the lecturer is, the leader, how much time they're going to be able to do.
Okay. Okay, yeah, you're just kind of fed on each other in terms of being sidetracked. And if you don't regroup, you'll never know what the other been talking about. So there's advantages and disadvantages to all these different settings. What I'd like to do is to pass the book again. And this time I'm going to give you this lovely black and white map. Lovely, black and white, no color. And I'm going to ask you in your groups to bring it to life. I know, it's going to be painful. It is. But I'm doing it for a reason. How would you bring this map to life? All right. So I'm going. Who would like to be an observer for one of the two groups? Who would like to be an observer? Okay. You'll be an observer of one group. I'll be the observer of another group. Terrific. So the rest of you go ahead and take a map.
Do you want a list of things to do?
Well, how would you?
I only have a blue pen.
Okay, if you had to bring that map to life for, say, a group of docents, and you didn't have much time, but you had a special event coming up and they needed to know the basics, how would you bring it to life for them so that it wasn't wah, 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 like Charlie Brown and Peanuts? Does that make sense? Okay, so you can go ahead and make yourselves into smaller groups and just run with this idea, as painful as it may seem. Thank you. There's a method to my madness here.
Is there anything in this right here we're supposed to be?
How do we bring it to life? Pick where you live.
I guess.
What's your question for now?
No, I think we have the same question.
Well, let's say, and perhaps the same question is over here. Let's say you have docents that really, they don't know what an MPA is. They just don't know. How will you bring that basic information to life for them using this as a
So, I started inside the Hill also, doing all the things we have in the museum collection. So we have some Native American stuff, we have presentation, we have mollusks, we have, and try to connect it, connect the dots.
This one is similar.
The map, and then maybe a couple of stories about why we have techniques with that part of the collection. Yeah, how would you do that? So my particular challenge is, I think John's going to look into this. Some of the people who really love the museum think it's not connected to the bay at all. That we already have an aquarium, and we're a land museum, and we don't talk about the bay. It's from the museum. And so, so I would be working, PG Museum, yeah, so I would be working, yeah, and I just threw that out there. I've been thinking about how I connect this for folks. And just start to build connections between what goes on inside the museum, which is fun, and outside, and kind of develop why the marine protected areas matter. Just a lot of connections. I would try to get a group to make connections. Oh, we have all kinds of stuff, but we have a wonderful mollusk collection. We have bees, and we have stuff on Jericho. Yeah, just have and we have all those artifacts. Yeah. So,
What are we actually physically changing stuff? I actually think we're looking at how do you take this?
That's what I would do, and I would be focusing on so that they would have, as part of their stories somewhere, some mention of this conservation.
Right.
You wouldn't tell us how much time we have for this, but I would probably start looking online and see if we can find this map of color.
Well, yeah.
Blow it up.
It is
You know,
all that.
if we've got some time, I've seen maps of Monterey Canyon, like three-dimensional maps. That's a good thing. One of them is this and the large.
That was the film like we said before, some of our shorts we made our own MPA map for just from Santa Cruz to Monterey, which for the fishermen that we were talking to, it's not logical to do just fish there, but the ones who are just coming to Los Angeles and going really short distances, that's the way we kind of interpreted it. Like, people were telling us now, oh, you should have done the whole map, but for where you live, that's the most specific thing. They're probably not going to go down to all the way to the bottom, so it's good to really focus on that.
I think for this map, what I would do just point out that try to make an impression on MPAs and have there, and you can see in that the space, get that. Not get rid of that. What is that?
Well, that was my point. In our group, I think we have representatives among the
That's right. That's right.
and if you identify everybody's group, all of them have.
Yeah, you wouldn't care if I everywhere. So you want to show the concept of these things.
I really like that aspect of like part. The more this gets developed, you know, it's to be prime dissect.
I like the idea also, like the idea of
There's one disadvantage we talked about.
I think it's a need to
That's but the idea is that they are places, you know, Soquel Canyon, nobody's ever going to see that, but it's something that's really special, and that's what we're seeing, special places, which we may or may not be.
One thing we found with Wisconsin is helpful for people to know exactly what things they're seeing. For example, what is the black line?
Oh,
what is the black line?
Why is that line there?
Yeah. Which side is the ocean? Which side is the land?
That's true.
Really basic things about this camp we need to interpret.
You know, so
That's very good. You do know the county history.
So what you found important here is
It does seem
But I don't know what is behind the scenes.
no, it's a 3-mile line. And it was divided from point A, from Pigeon Point to yeah, exactly. That's what the state somehow stole for the feds. Well, there's part, but that's a different size. That's part of the sanctuary.
See, this is the problem. This is,
Well, I was all excited. I wanted to see that, but I heard so much about it.
That's federal, and the state can't do anything.
so yeah, just simple. You know,
and here they are, they're black and white.
Maybe they have never visited, but still, it's important to have.
So wrap up and then we'll share our ideas with the other places.
Great time. Whale watching point. Or,
But you know, these ones which are spaced in here and look carried on, they're not the ones that make people look at it. You can see the ones that are
Right.
You can't see National Bridge, it's not even there. Right? But those are the ones that people will go to. So I would like to see those.
And of course, since they're butterflies, the National Bridge is our shiny clue.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So did anybody do anything with the all these designations? They're kind of mysterious.
Allows you to protect, and more than one of each is what is protecting precious habitat. So there is a variety, that's what we talk so much about. There are a variety of habitats, and they're, and this is fundamental things, but there's science behind it, and that we have multiple ones that we that was very helpful.
Okay, so we can just go down this end, just so we can just do a quick wrap up. And we want to make sure that if anybody heard anything, in their small group that was a real aha thing, or something that they really feel like everyone in the room could benefit, we're just going to take a couple of minutes to share some of those things. Okay, so I'm just waiting for this group here to. Okay, I'm going to do the 1, 2, 3 eyes on me if we're not careful.
They're jellyfish, give them a break.
Okay.
Just floating around.
So, did anyone hear anything in this group they'd like to share with the group?
Well, and this is part of my group, but what I heard that was really helpful, I think, is MPAs-like. If you think about National Park Service-like, but it's in the water. Preserving habitats.
So, okay, so we realized that we'd all been having trouble understanding what the uniqueness was about this system, and so we can real close. Okay. Oh my. Okay. Oh, liquid. Okay. Right. This is the last time I'm going to. Okay. So basically, we decided. Okay. So the unique parts of this system are that it's transparent, science-based network of these underwater parks, which is kind of an important way to look at it. And we were realizing that the idea of having an underwater park isn't unique even in the United States, because we've had these things before, but this idea of having, one, the process being transparent, science-based, and having a stakeholder, a group of people that are interested in preserving something for future generations, and then having this network.
In California. Yeah.
In California.
Anyone else? No? We're stretching?
Well, what did we say? We had the same thing. Essentially, we were talking about this as being a series of Yosemites and stressed the network, and then really quickly went to get rid of the map and go to local areas, because each of us are in local places, and talk about the local areas that we're at. Is that right?
Okay. Any last nugget? Anybody needs to share? Anyone from back here? No. Okay, well, thank you. Oh, just one more. Fine, there's always one, isn't there?
Actually, you suggested this, but the idea was to, if we only have this map, hopefully we'd have it in color, but take some photographs of the local area, some specimens from your facility, and have them out there connected with a piece of yarn, a string, or something to a specific spot, so that people understand what that area is protecting.
Right. Thank you. Yeah, and these maps I just photocopied, and they were just to use in these sessions. Please don't go and use these back at your home site. But you can download them all from as PDFs and JPEGs from the Fish and Game website.